Welcome to Guzzler.
Hello and welcome back to the Guzzler podcast. How you doing, boys?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Blooming hot. Right. I don't like the heat. You're enjoying the heat, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I am. I ain't gonna lie. I've got these.
Why are you just wearing those?
Comfy. They give me the support I deserve.
Right, fair enough.
Guzzler podcast.
So today I'm going to pose some questions to you both. You can answer them or you can't. If you don't, it'll be a short episode. But if you do, it might last a while.
Alright.
So, question 1.
Yeah.
Do we deserve to sacrifice things like meat for the environment because we've abused it for so long?
I haven't.
No, but humanity in general has.
Yeah, but I haven't.
No, but...
So I should be allowed meat.
But that's everyone's point of view.
Yeah, I know, that's the problem, isn't it?
So
it's a good point. You're not wrong, but...
Wait, say the question again.
Oh. Do we deserve to sacrifice things like meat or like turning the kettle off more often for the environment because we've abused it for so long?
I don't think it's because we've abused it for too long. I think just to change the world around, we should. I know that sort of links, but looking at it from the point that we've abused it for too long, I sort of agree with Alfie. I haven't, so I don't know why I should. But looking at it from the perspective of we can make the world better, then yes, I think it depends on the way that someone would word it to me. How I would agree.
If everyone takes that view,
I'm also not one for
nothing's ever going to change, is it? We'll just die a horrific.
But my point is, it's
death in a natural disaster.
If you said to me, should we save... This is really petty, but it does actually... I think to me it does make a difference. If you said to me, should we not sacrifice things so we can make the world a better place? I'd go, great idea. If you say, because we've been horrible to the world, I'd go, well, I haven't.
No, but humanity in general
so if it's
really like...
Yeah, but again, I'd be like, I haven't. So
if it was presented as a general moral improvement, a general thing to do, that's fine. But like if it's like, you've done something wrong, you should be better.
Well, I haven't. So I'm going to keep eating meat. But I also sort of think, like, I eat quite a bit of meat. I could go without meat, to be fair. I'm not going to go with meat.
Yeah, to be fair, I think that's a very good point what Louis brought up. Because I think generally that is a massive issue with people getting defensive and people not making changes. It's because a lot of people are quite forceful and they are quite aggressive. Like vegans, I have nothing against vegans, but some of them are incredibly aggressive towards meat eaters. And they are just like, you're a massive problem, you have no morals. Like, that's not a good way to get someone across to your point of view.
No, exactly. But I could go without meat. I say go without, not to be taken away from me. But I could. I don't eat that much meat, I suppose. But if someone said to me, look, we're going to make all these grasshopper farms, we're going to eat grasshoppers instead, it's better for you, it's better for the environment, better for climate, etc., etc., I'll give it a good go.
I was going to bring up the insects thing. So I remember watching a show in literally 2007 or something, and they were talking about how in 10 years everyone would be eating insects because it's just so much better for the planet, and you just use so much less space, and there's more protein. It's never going to happen. It hasn't happened at all. There's not even been a bit of a movement towards it.
No
one's talking about this.
I don't know.
There's a restaurant in London which does serve insects, but no one's talking about that. No one's talking about the fact that we could eat insects. No one's having that discussion.
No, there hasn't even, like I said, there hasn't even been a bit of a movement towards it at all. They've gone into making fake burgers and stuff, but that's not through nothing to do with insects at all.
It's all
sort of
fake,
industry.
isn't it? Oh,
I think there is a.
so there's quite a big website called Eat Grub.
No one's talking about that website, though, are they? No one cares to talk about that website.
Cricket protein powder, cricket flour. Let's have a look.
Yeah, so you can use it to put in. You can put that flour in your cakes to use flour.
Oh.
What? I'm using flour from plants anyway. Why am I putting meat in my cakes?
62 grams of protein per 100 gram. Really?
The insects are insane.
What?
For protein.
What on earth?
Absolutely insane. Yeah, it's crazy.
What?
That's why everyone said it's the future, but it's not going to happen.
It needs to be.
It would be a very good solution. It'd be a very, very good solution. To farm like crickets or something would be incredible. It'd be a fantastic solution.
Thousands of acres being taken up by stupid cows. All they do is lay down.
Only when it rains. I think there's a discussion on, well, quite a big push, I suppose, recently on vegan food, vegetarian food. Only in the last 18 months, 2 years, has there actually been an area in Tesco's where it's plant-based food. There wasn't before that. I think there's quite a push. There was a point, and I mean, literally, it's a very small point, probably about 2 weeks last year, where I tried to go as vegan as I possibly could for 2 weeks. And I mean, it was good. It was fine. I enjoyed it. It was fine. I didn't feel any better for it. I think it was quite hard. It was quite hard, but and I think if I tried to do it 5 years ago, it'd be even harder because there wasn't resources to do it back then. If I do it in 5 years from now, it might be even easier.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. The vegan diet isn't better for you than any other form of fad diet or whatever's about. In fact,
I didn't feel any better.
No,
apart from the fact that
in some cases it's actually
we went to
worse.
McDonald's once. Yeah, I went to McDonald's once and I chose not to have the burger I wanted, and I was like, I'll have some chips then.
Yeah.
It's exciting, isn't
Yeah.
it? I've said it before as well. I don't like the idea of all the money being funded into making like fake meat. I'd rather it went into funding like nice, affordable vegan products.
Yeah,
like World Wars.
Sustainable products.
And World Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like nice. Because like I'm not going to swap from like chicken to fake chicken. I'm more likely to swap to like a really nice, affordable vegan thing that's its own thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in a restaurant, I would never get a fake burger.
But
last night, I got a really nice like butternut squash risotto.
Right.
It was a vegan dish.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't get fake meat. I would just get that nice dish because it's a nice dish. If I wanted a burger, I'd get a burger.
That's a very good point. Exactly. Yeah.
Or just not get. Like, do you know what I mean? I just think
Yeah.
it feels strange to me for them to try and replicate meat. I get it, but I don't know.
I think it's just trying to entice a market that probably doesn't want to change their
definitely.
behaviour. But really, is that behaviour necessary? Do we have to change, or will someone just come up with some magical solution, or do we have to start doing one and then hope for the other?
There's a really good like infographic of reasons that people don't change their behaviours on climate. And like one of the biggest ones is like magic solution. Like people are just like science will solve it. It's like one of the biggest things that why people just don't change their behaviours because they just believe science will do something about it. Like they can continue to do what they want. Science will change it. Whereas really, changing our behaviours is the number one solution.
Yeah. It's the fastest.
Hard to implement.
There might be a magic solution, but there also might not. So why would you risk not changing your behaviours?
I think
people hate changing their behaviours, don't they?
The human species is selfish, and I think that we won't want to change things for ourselves for the people of the future, because we're going to be the ones who have got to make that change.
Yeah.
So we've got to sacrifice burgers, we've got to sacrifice using cars and all that, so in the future world can be better. Well, we don't want to do that because we've only got one life, and we want to live it to what we want to do.
Yeah.
So why should we have to change it?
I think I read a statistic. It was something like if everyone in Britain took one more meat dish off of their like weekly eating rota every week, it would be the equivalent of taking a stupid amount of cars off the road, like 16,000 or something absolutely mental. I'll have to find it and put it on Instagram. But it's insane. Just once, you just don't have to eat meat a week.
Yeah, I think people don't realise how much the little things add up. 'Cause everyone thinks I'm an individual, what's the point? But they don't think, yeah, okay, sure, but there's like 8 billion individuals on the planet. That's a lot of people. You changing your behaviour can make a big difference. It can add up. I don't do it, but you know, I mean, I don't eat much meat. I do try and avoid meat. But
to be fair, though, the reason I don't do it isn't for any reason like, isn't like, oh, someone else will do it. It is just genuinely because I like eating meat.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I use my car because I can't be bothered to use a bike or walk to places. I can't be bothered to use a train. It costs more money than what it does to use my car. 30 quid to get to London on a train. Well, 15 in my car.
But the biggest problem with sustainable change is making the change sustainable. The actual change is self-sustainable. So take the example of air travel. We have no other form of like accessible, fast global travel, so it has to be used, right? But in the topic of meat, we have alternatives. Now, I don't really believe in bottom-up approach to consumerism and having that change our place environmentally, because it won't work. The producers will still continue to produce these products, even though the consumers don't want it that much anymore. And it will take way too long for it to change like that. It has to be a top-up change or top-down change. But how do you try and force that?
I don't know. I really don't know.
The issue is, like I said, that if they need to make better like vegan products. Like, I don't want to have a vegan burger when there's a beef burger with bacon and cheese in it.
But that's,
like, if you make a good vegan product, then I'd eat it.
That's still a bottom-up approach. That's still trying to get the consumers to affect the market. That's still trying to entice everyone to go, that looks a bit better than a burger. But why would they do that if they know how a burger tastes? Now,
but that's what I'm saying. They haven't got to make a burger. They just need to make a different product that I'll eat and go, blimey, that's good. Like, for example, at Subway, I know this isn't actually a different product, but the vegan meatball...
They're amazing.
Oh, they're amazing, but they taste exactly the same as what the meatball one does. So to me, that I might as well have that then. On the rare occasion that I'd ever have the meatball one anyway, I might as well have the vegan one. But I've never had a burger that I go, that's vegan. Oh, that tastes just like a bacon and cheeseburger, like real juicy meat. Like, so until you can get that, unfortunately, I won't be changing it.
What about habits such as switching things off more regularly? Should it be like the norm that new houses are fitted with like smart switches, so when they're not in use for extended periods, they're turned off?
I think I worked at Screwfix like 3 years. I think there was more a push in the 3 years I was there to more eco stuff, more environmental friendly stuff, more smart things to when I first started. I think that will become more naturally better, and that will happen. I think that will happen. I think that will happen because when houses get made, they will naturally become better.
Oh. I just think like we haven't even managed to stop people smoking, and that is just literally just negative. There is not even an argument for that being a positive thing. It's just bad. Yeah. It's bad for the person. It's bad for everyone, and we haven't even managed to stop that. So, good luck with humanity for making everyone vegan, mate.
Well,
but the issue as well is that I think that the thing about turning things off, I think if we go back 20 years, people used to turn the switches off every night before they went to bed. And we became sort of more educated the fact that actually, I think people used to do it because they was like, it's going to start fires. Well, now we know it doesn't. Yeah. So we leave it on. Like, I remember when I was on holiday when I was probably about 5, and they said, turn everything off. And when I was going around my nan's to sleep when I was like 5 years old, turn everything off, you turn everything off. Well, actually, we don't do that now because we know nothing bad's going to happen, so we just don't bother. When actually, that was more beneficial for the environment.
The only thing I leave on now,
I think people have got better at turning
is my fridge freezer, my phone charger, and my alarm clock. That's the only 3 plugs that's on in my entire house while I'm asleep.
Yeah, I mean, my nan, like old people, like my nan's terrified of electricity. She'll turn everything off when she goes to bed because she's certain there'll be a fire. I don't know why.
My TV downstairs, I'm never turn off at the mains. Every time I'm going to turn it on, the sky's going to take 20 minutes to start up again.
But like standby's alright though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's much worse things you could be doing for the planet than leaving your TV.
I leave my hairdryer plugged in all the time because I can't bother to get out of the drawer the next morning. And that's really lazy.
It's not doing anything.
Okay, so if we do solve the climate disaster, which at the minute we're not going to, I mean, you heard the news about the wobbly moon. This is going to quadruple flooding in the mid-2030s. So if we do fix this problem, will humanity ever reach a point where religion no longer exists? And if so, when?
I don't think it will.
So, I think overall the world's may become, I don't know if it's becoming more secular or not, but Britain in general is becoming more secular. So Britain in general though, more teens are more religious now in the last 5 years than what they were 10 years before that, and more elderly people are more religious now as well. And if you look at patterns and trends, you've read Factfulness, you look at patterns and trends and how they develop, but more teens are more religious now, and I think genuinely it's going to seem silly, but I think it comes from genuinely celebrities and famous people. Like you look at Stormzy and stuff, where he goes to like these like estates and stuff like that, and preaches about God and stuff like that. And people, it gives them something to believe in. I don't think we'll ever. I think it will be like a wave, like it will go up and down, but I don't think we'll ever not have something.
I think it will go down massively. I think.
Yeah, but
I've read God. Have you read God Complex?
No,
not God Complex. What's it called? Is it called God Complex? Richard Dawkins.
Yeah, Google it.
Yeah, it's called God Complex.
I think that's what it's called. Anyway, it's really, really good. I recommend reading it. And like, people are becoming less religious by like a lot and big numbers. And like, from people I know a lot of people with very religious families that aren't religious. I don't know many people.
Oh,
I don't think I know anyone.
It's called the God Delusion.
That's it, the God Delusion. I knew it wasn't called God Complex. God Delusion. That's it. It's really good. It's really good. I recommend reading it. But like, I know a lot of people whose families aren't. I know a lot of people whose families are very religious, and they've become non-religious. But I don't know anybody whose family aren't religious and become
it's very, very, very odd.
Apart from
for someone to be
not
like
defined religion.
There's a pattern. There's a pattern where people from poorer backgrounds, poor societies, find religion. But if you're sort of stable,
so
it
that
doesn't
makes
often
sense. Because I see religion as like a need, like a desperation for a higher power, because you need something to believe in. You need something stable.
That's also the other way, because religion is based on an external locus of control, so you can blame someone for something.
That's what I mean.
So if people are in dire states
really
and they don't know how to get out of it, instead of blaming themselves and their own behaviours, they will find something to put blame on. Oh, I've just got really bad luck, or God's given me a really
Well, not even
bad
necessarily
hand.
blame, but like, it's like God's purpose. It's not necessarily a blame, but it's like, this has happened for a reason. This is fate. Whereas I don't believe in any of that. I just think,
load of bollocks.
I think that once upon a time it was like the rich man's thing to be religious, where now it's not. And the reason it's not is because why do you need to believe in an alternate being when you can just get on a plane and hop off to Malaga in like a 7-star hotel and like, you know what I mean? Like, no matter what happens when you're mega rich, well, it's gone hard, dude. Buy a plane, go to Las Vegas, etc., etc. Do you want to tour around the world on a cruise? You don't need them religion, do you?
No.
Particularly.
All right. So on the flip side, if religion isn't going to die out anytime soon, will we see the emergence of new religions? Obviously, the Abrahamic religions only turned up 2,000 years ago. And before that, Hinduism, I think, is 7,000 years old. But the Abrahamic religions are based on Thoth and the Egyptian gods. So they kind of cycle through different forms of different gods. There's over 3,000 gods between all the religions combined. Will there be an emergence of a new big religion?
I think so, and I think most religions do stay. You still get Druids now, and Druids started Stonehenge sort of time, like 30, I don't know, how many thousands of years ago. You still get Druids now, it's not as strong. You will get new religions. I mean,
I don't think you will.
I think Jedi is a religion.
I think Catholicism is way too powerful.
Really. I think that, because a lot of religions were born from sort of invasion and cultural merging, and then sort of someone would invade somewhere and they'd be geographically isolated, and religions would evolve and stuff. Like Egyptian mythology, they have a god that they share with Greek mythology just because of intermingling, and they wanted the Greeks in Egypt to follow their religions. They just made a god that's shared between them. But I can't remember the god's name. But I think in this day and age we're so connected, and there's such a. I can't see it happening.
You do get new ones. You get new sects.
Maybe a small religion.
Yeah, you get new
don't
sects.
Get me wrong. I think probably but not a major world religion.
The big six or whatever it is.
Yeah, I can't see that happening. No, I think religion will, particularly in Western regions, will die out massively. But I don't think it'll ever be gone.
Well, I think
I don't know what you.
I reckon at some point we will just realise there isn't a God out there to save us or give us any form of hope.
I disagree with that totally.
But there's still cults, and there's still I think there will always be some sort of
cults are funny, aren't they? Because they're not really religions. They just believe in any old shit.
but like some are.
Because the reason I think that, Dick, is because I don't think there'll be a definitive time where everyone goes, oh, there's no God. Because I believe in God. And I know there's a lot of proof that probably God doesn't exist, but I believe in God. And I think there won't be a time where people go, nah, he's not a thing.
Okay, so...
I think it'll be a massive minority.
Instead of that, will there... Instead of sort of the idea of people believing in God no longer existing, will the religions themselves kind of sprinkle out? We know that less and less Christians go to church. Will there come a point where people just don't go and gather in mosques or churches or anywhere like that?
I think so.
Will the churches themselves
or less of.
just kind of fall apart and people will individually believe in a God, whoever they may be?
Possibly, but I think that a church is just where two or more people preach God together. So I think there'd be more of a thing where, like, if you came around mine tomorrow, Declan, and we sat in my garden and we spoke about God and religion, we've got our own church there, and I think that will become something. Whilst at the moment there's still like, well, we've got these beautiful religious buildings, people want to use them, and I think even if you're not religious, there's something about Christmas, going to do a carol service in a church and stuff like that. People do still go there.
They've turned a church into a Tesco, haven't they? Into a Tesco Express, which I think so.
I just think it's all going to plateau.
Yeah,
it's all going to get very low numbers, small communities, and it will be tiny. Eventually,
I think, and this is when you said about turning churches into Tesco's. Me and Tash, often at weekends we go to ruined churches and ruined places like that.
Sounds like a ball.
Just around, sort of been.
Sounds like a ball.
Sounds like, well, yeah. Just places that have sort of been left from like the 1000s, and I find it absolutely amazing. Tash finds it really creepy, but I find it's sort of this, what's the word? This sort of juxtaposition of it sort of being creepy and left alone with crows flying around it and weeds and moss growing up it. But actually, I find it sort of, I don't know, beautifully disastrous, maybe.
Right.
I think the sort of churches.
I really like old churches.
Yeah, I do. I think churches should be left and not turned into Tesco's. Even if you're not religious, they should be left as sacred buildings. If you go to Athens,
I think I disagree with that.
Nice.
If I'm not sacred, I don't mean you should still go there and pray. But they should be left as they are.
I think they're beautiful.
I think they should be maintained.
Now, all the ruins,
but I don't see the point of them being used as churches anymore.
Fine. Like some of these churches were in the sacking in like the 1600s.
Turn them into homeless shelters or anything like that.
No, I don't think that. I think they should be left as they are. Imagine if we went to Athens now and was like, oh, this place used to celebrate Greek gods. I will turn that into a Walmart. But you wouldn't do that. And I think they should be left as they are.
I don't know. We're capitalistic.
I know it's slightly divergent, but I think they should be. Well, I think. Imagine, honestly, if we went to Egypt, there's a pyramid here, lovely. They used to support Ra in it. We'll turn it into a mini-mart.
I reckon at some point they would do that. I think at some point, way into the future.
You shouldn't.
No, I don't think it should either. But there will come a point
I've been to churches
where
like,
capitalism wins and everything is just a shop.
On the Sandringham estate, which is quite near us, I suppose, there is just a church which hasn't got a roof on it, just some couple of walls. It's been left since like the 1200s. I like that. You can just sort of walk in it, take some pictures, have a little look around, maybe have a picnic and leave. I really like that. It's sort of just left. It hasn't been pulled down because it's a mess. There's another one I went to down Portsmouth when I can't remember the name of it. It's this old abbey. And in the 1700s it was turned into this massive manor house. Then it was left. And in the 1800s, a painter called John Constable, he painted a lot of places around Sussex. He went, or Suffolk, sorry. He painted a picture there. There's always palm trees, and he documented that there used to be all these people used to go there in the late 1800s, have picnics, and there'd be bands playing, they drink wine, and it's still like that now. Let's not pull it down and just put a housing estate on the place.
I really like churches, but the problem is with churches, I see every single church as a bit of history. Because in my head, religion's a historic thing.
I agree with you.
Like Christianity to me is history,
archaic.
as far as I'm concerned. So I enjoy churches.
Have you heard the thing about Roman Catholicism? How it's not actually, it's less about Christ and more about Romans, and that's why there's loads of gold and it's full of hierarchical structures, and they literally carry about Jesus's death cross on a stick and pronounce that as, something holy. He died on it. The man literally bled to death on a cross.
But the idea of that is giving his life for the world. That's why it's the holy thing. But no, I think that I agree with you, Alfie, that it's
I just can't see religion as
as a
current thing.
No.
But yeah, so in 200 years, or maybe longer than that, you couldn't imagine people coming to places now going, "Oh, that was historical," because in 2020 there was this religious building. You couldn't imagine that.
I think it will be very
That's quite
private.
sad.
Is that sad
thing.
though? I think it's sad, but that might just be because I'm a big fan of history. I'm a big fan of churches.
Yeah, I love history. I'm a massive fan.
I
But
would
I
sort
don't
of
think
like to see churches from now, newish churches, newish mosques.
they're terrible though.
Sort of be, but some mosques are beautiful, aren't they?
Like some mosques are nice and stuff, but like,
Yeah.
it does. I'm not religious at all, but it does annoy me that they don't just whack up any really nice churches anymore.
Yeah.
They don't build like the Notre Dame now, do they?
No, I don't know.
It
No,
annoys
but
me.
Isn't that sort of like the fact that, like, imagine... I don't know anyone around our hometown who does, like, amazing Freemasonry and, like... Not Freemasonry,
I get that,
like
but, like,
masonry, like
Yeah,
stonemasonry.
the demand
and stuff.
for
No,
it
no,
has gone
exactly.
down,
Like-
so why would you build more?
Yeah.
But that's
just
just,
nice,
that's
though,
just
isn't
great
it?
architecture.
We can just do metalwork
It
and
doesn't
glass.
necessarily have to be a church. I think.
But like, if you're religious and you say that these are God's home or whatever they are, or whatever, I don't know how religion talks about them. It is like that though.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
then why are they not putting effort into them anymore?
Because less and less people
Like you
are
see,
religious.
like the church down near Costco on the way to New Aid or whatever, down the back bit.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
church.
Yeah.
What's that? It's like a prefab. It's disgusting. It's like a mobile home. Like God
Yeah,
don't
that's
want that.
true, yeah.
God ain't gonna live there, is
No.
he? He ain't gonna put his feet up, kick back. It's hideous.
Yeah.
That's a good point, actually.
I don't understand that. I'm not religious at all, but if I was, I'd be angry that there's not whacking up nice churches
Yeah.
anymore.
There's a wonderful film that I really recommend you to watch. It's called Machine Gun Preacher, and it's
Machine
got...
Gun Kelly.
No. Machine Gun Preacher. It's got Gerard Butler in it, and it's about... It was set around the time when Joseph Kony was taking all the children, all the girls, to become his like slaves. Remember Kony 2012 when that and
Good times.
Machine Gun Preacher was this bloke who had like a real terrible life, and he went out to South Africa to try and take down Kony and all of his child soldiers, and he made churches out there to give people a reason to believe there, and then he came up to America and he gave people a reason to believe, and he's turned so many people's lives around, and I find that really beneficial, even if there isn't a God. The fact that this man who had a real terrible life managed to turn people's lives around just by doing what he did.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, isn't it? That's a good thing. There's a story, and I would like to actually talk about a story on another podcast. But there's a bloke, his name was Dr. Donovan, and he lived in our hometown, and he got kidnapped by Somalians.
Oh yeah.
And his story is actually wonderful, and he wrote a book, and it's marvellous It's marvellous. And Niall, who's been on the podcast, I think Dr. Donovan used to be his doctor, and Dr. Donovan went to buy the house that I'm currently in, and he then had to drop out because we was told by someone else that he'd been kidnapped in Somalia. He had to drop out from buying our house. How inconsiderate! No, I'm joking, of course. But it's such a marvellous story. It's it's amazing. And but the thing that got him out from where he got kidnapped is because of religion.
I mean, it's
then-
real though.
No. But I was about to say, on the negative, on the bad side, is that religion also does destroy many lives. If you look
Oh,
at
masses.
if you look
Hundreds
at,
of
Yeah.
thousands.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah,
the
if you look
the
at
thing with
terrorism,
Notre Dame when it burnt down, and then the Catholic Church went, "Yeah, we'll have donations for it, please." And everyone went, "What?
Yeah.
You're literally
One of
one
the
of the
richest things in the
richest
world."
countries in the world." No,
But like,
you pay for it.
you could definitely argue that religion like unites people and brings people together, but only within communities.
Yeah,
Like on a global scale, it's one of the biggest divides.
ever.
It's the biggest divide there's ever
Yeah.
been.
And I always say that that wars between politics will come and go, because politics in a lot of capitalist countries end every 4 or 5 years. Wars between religions won't end.
No.
Because politically you could be Labour this week, you could be Green Party next week, you could then turn to Conservative later on in life, etc., etc. Most people hold on to their religions. You don't get many people to go from Christian to Islam. They just don't.
Yeah,
People hold on to religions because they want to fight for their belief. If you say to me, and it does happen, in the past you go, well, God's not real, and I'll go, well, yeah, it is, and then we debate that. At the end of a debate in Wetherspoons, I'm not going to go, oh yeah, fair play, all right. You've got me there, and then I'll go, oh, I don't believe in God anymore. But you could say, well, no, the Labour way of life is far better than Conservative, and persuade me otherwise, and I could go, well, I see your point, fair enough.
all right. Well, while we're on this
it's
topic
like a lifestyle
of
thing.
war and shit like that, will we ever reach a point? This is my final question. Where we have a utopia, where there's no war, all the countries are run by one government, there's free movement, free trade, everything.
So we're closer to world peace now in our current world than we have been ever before, ever. But I recently read a book about flags and about the world in general.
Oh, thrilling.
And we do actually have a flag. We do actually have a world flag. A flag for our world. If we went on to another planet, we would give them this flag. However, it's not a real flag. People consider it our flag, but it's not real, because that would mean then that someone had to design that flag. Which means, why did they have the power to design that flag? That would mean then we'd have a world leader. We don't have a world leader. We have world leaders. And why would that mean someone's in charge? And we don't, because we're all split into however many countries there are. But the view you have there, Declan, of there's no borders, we'd all be equal. That's the Jehovah Witness view of the world. They don't see borders. What, like the idea of free movement? If you zoom out suddenly, there is no actual definitive borders.
No, it's all made up.
We make these borders.
Countries are made up,
and that's the Jehovah Witnesses believe that. Jehovah Witnesses say that they don't believe in flags. They don't see flags because that would mean there's countries and there's divides. We shouldn't have divides. We're all one. We're on this planet. We're the only planet with life like human life that we know of. So why do we?
I mean, I'd prefer to follow the flag smashers than the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the flag smashers' belief as well.
I'm not saying follow the Jehovah's Witnesses, but
if you read *Sapiens*, he does talk about how we're not biologically evolved to be able to function.
Yeah,
on that
just
scale.
because communities have to be.
We can't exist like that. It doesn't work like that.
But
like, it's already unbelievable that we can function on the scale we do with countries.
Could there reach a point where if communities are individually smaller, so we don't have any major cities where hundreds of thousands of people gather at the same time, millions, but we have loads of little communities that can just interconnect and move about freely?
I doubt it.
Because that's kind of like what the American states are about, innit? There's normally a big city in each state, or a couple of big cities, and then the rest is just like small towns and they can move about.
But you can say that about our councils in England. It just doesn't work particularly that well. I don't think it will work. And in this book as well, it said about how if you go back 700 years, there'd be like a citadel with a wall around it, and like a lad would say, "Why is there a wall around our city?" And someone else would go, "Well, outside of this city wall, there are bad people. Don't go outside the wall, and the people who are on the other side are bad. Don't let them come in." And they go, okay, right. And then one day they've gone outside the wall and they killed the people on the outside because they're seen as bad. But actually, those people are from another citadel, and they all have the same view. You all have the same view that, like, and I suppose it's like football. From the town that we're in, if you're a March Town Football Club person, you know, like, people from Whittlesea are scum of the earth. People from Charis are scum of the earth.
I mean, like, football's a good example of how tribalism's just ingrained.
But is that?
It's just ingrained in our nature.
Is that but is it biological or is it social? Was it taught to us that everyone away from us is bad? Or like, because this is the proposition 100%. Of like the idea of the UN, isn't it? It's that everyone's got to trust each other. Everyone kind of donates a little bit to the UN. Everyone kind of trusts them to make some rules up and govern parts of everyone else's country. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's
also kind of the idea of the EU.
Yeah, but that's
that.
Trade deals. That's less about political adjoinings than it is.
Yeah, but I get that, but like the general public, I would argue, still don't understand what the EU is.
No, it's just.
But there's this sort of tribalism of someone's trying to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Someone's trying to, like, no one seems to understand that we were part of the EU. We did have a voice. We weren't just whipping boys or whatever. No one seems to understand that. People are just like, they tell me what to do. I don't want to do it. Because there's that divide. I just don't think it's.
And at the end of the day, all the EU was a trade bloc, and a bloc in this instance is spelled BLOC. There's no K at the end.
Yeah.
And there's loads of trade blocs around the world, loads, and they function perfectly well. But why is ours gone tits up?
Because we don't love thy neighbour, do we? If you take it back to the grassroots,
bore off.
No, genuinely. If you took it back to the grassroots, and when you was 5 years old, if you just fathomed onto the planet and you kicked the ball over the fence, and someone said to you, "Can you go get that?" You'd sort of be scared about going to your neighbours. You wouldn't want to go to your neighbours.
No, but we don't.
You'd feel that you shouldn't invade their space.
We don't.
But you wouldn't want to invade their space, would you?
We aren't born with hate. We aren't born with mistrust. You've seen the pictures of kids on trains where they try and touch strangers and stuff like that. we're born.
But it's not just about hate, though, is
just
it?
about social. But
It's
we
not about
learn about the fact that people outside of who we are bad. We're not born.
It's not
like
just about
that.
hate. It's about the idea that the space you have is your space, and that you
I
shouldn't
think
be in
there's-
someone
yeah.
else's.
I think there's definitely a biological aspect. I do think it's just a biological thing. Animals exhibit it.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, as I say,
Pretty much every animal exhibits it.
yeah. A lot of cats stay in their own home or garden. Well, they don't know that that's where their border ends.
Monkeys are a nightmare for it. They're terrible.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
always fighting.
But they're
each
closest
other.
to us.
In
aren't
in
Yeah, exactly.
Animal Kingdom in Florida, when you first walk in, there's this little island in the middle. It's sort of like a moat around it, and there's all these ropes that go literally to where you're standing. They don't go anywhere else. They literally have the freedom to go wherever they want, but they don't because they know that is where they stay, and they're not going to go over to anywhere else because that's not their place to go.
But is that also because we're a symptom of thousands and thousands of years of evolution where our ancestors were just pillaged and murdered on a regular basis. So we've learned to fear
definitely.
other
But
people.
yeah.
So
Now it
can't
is
there
our
come
instinct.
a point where we consciously make that change and start to trust and aim towards a
I don't
utopic
think,
ideology?
No.
No? Are we too far
I
down
don't
the
think
rabbit hole?
I don't think humans' collective intellect is ever going to be able to trump biology and evolution.
Right, okay.
'Cause too many people are just stupid. That's my
Yeah,
opinion.
no, I agree with you there.
Too many people are
And
stupid.
the pandemic's highlighted
Everyone's
that.
idiots. Exactly.
You would need everyone to follow the same political structure, and we don't, unfortunately. We've
People-
discussed before that there's a right way. There is a right way, but unfortunately people don't follow that right way, do they?
Listen, I constantly reminded every day of how idiotic everybody is. So people still refuse to wear masks, and it is the
Dumbest.
easiest
Yep.
thing ever.
Yep.
And their argument is like, oh, it's not proven they do anything. All right, fine, but you're also saying it's not proven they don't do anything, right? Like they could do something. And wearing a mask is the easiest thing
To do,
ever.
yeah.
Like it does not. It's so easy to do. No one's asking you to go out of your way in any way. So if there's even a 1% chance that mask does something, why would you not do it?
But it makes me laugh because they go, yeah, but they don't really work. It's uncomfortable. I get hot. You get hot walking up the stairs when it's -1 outside.
So
Behave.
easy wearing a mask. My favourite thing is when they say that it stops oxygen getting in, but then they say it doesn't stop COVID. So it stops oxygen molecules, which are incredibly small. It's like 8th in the periodic table, incredibly small element, but doesn't stop COVID.
Yeah.
That makes literally no sense.
And I just think, and I know this is such an easy thing to say, but I say it at work. NHS staff have had to wear these masks for years on end,
Yep.
and they don't complain. And then I say it to something, and they go, "Oh yeah, that's what my mum says." Well, yeah, you know what? It's true. Live with it, unfortunately.
The doctor for my
Exactly.
mum, she had like a 16-hour surgery or something like that. Something crazy. He was wearing a mask the entire time.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole surgery by himself.
Because they know.
Wore a mask.
Yeah. I just don't have a lot of faith in humanity, basically.
No, especially not right now.
And I'm gonna be. I'd say a lot of my negative opinions of religion come from that as well.
Probably.
Religion causes so much issue,
and it has
so
caused
I
so much
can't-
issue.
Throughout history. It's like the biggest problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
consistently
I don't
the
agree
biggest
with
problem.
that. What people need to realise is that Christianity is the only one true religion, and
Well, my issue was
God's real.
My issue was never with religion itself, because in essence that's just belief. It was the church and the role, or the churches and the roles they played in influencing everyone's behaviour. Apparently the Bible was made up when a load of bishops put loads of scripture in one room, left it, come back, and apparently the Bible was pages stacked on top of each other, and they'd magically formed.
I shall tell you how the Bible formed. The Bible formed because
Keith wrote it.
Keith wrote, yeah. He was a writer in the 19th century, real good writer. No, it was stories, as we tell stories now, and then 50 years later they would tell stories around campfires, and the stories would change slightly, and then they'd go to another campfire and they'd tell more stories, and they would keep telling more and more stories, and it just became a thing until someone wrote these stories down. So they, of course, changed somewhat. The Reed Sea is tidal. It can change. It can go in and out and cause ginormous waves. Moses probably lived near the Reed Sea. Somewhat, though, the Red Sea is now what it is in the Bible. Well, it could well have been the Red Sea. Unfortunately, stories change and things happen. But of course, in the year minus 250 or whatever, or even long before that, when Moses was around with Ramesses,
There isn't a year
he
minus
wasn't
250.
writing things down. 250 BC, then sorry, they wasn't writing things down to how we write things down now. They would have been just telling stories.
But like, genuinely, how do you think those stories became to be taken as true, while other stories were just stories?
I don't know. I think it's the same.
like, just genuinely,
How does myth and legend
stories happen
become, real?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. It's a very good question. Maybe they start the story by going, "I've got a great story. It's fiction, though," and then they say it. Or they go, "I've got a great story, and this one is true." And they say it.
But like, what makes you believe in all the stories in the Bible?
I don't believe in all the stories in the Bible, but I don't know. I'd like to talk deep with you about religion in another podcast.
Yeah, we will do a proper one when we're filming properly again.
The problem is we've been saying that for a year.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't been really here.
But I feel like we're very close to recording again properly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very close. I mean, we're sat at the bar, so
Woo!
Ready. Okay, so we've established today that we're all going to die a horrible death within the next 50 years, and humanity's going to burn in a horrible hole of hellfire. And
I'm gonna have a burger though. So.
Yeah. I'm going to enjoy it while we're on the way out.
yeah, fair enough. All right, what are you drinking?
We're drinking. Is it called Piston Head? Is the brewery Piston Head? Oh, it's Brutal Brewing. It's called Piston Head. It's a full amber lager.
Yeah, it's
I thought it was really nice. 6%.
I thought it was really nice. It says here as well, quite interestingly, it's brewed with hints of spicy citrus and a bit of twist. I did feel that it was quite
Didn't feel any of that.
not spicy, but when the first sip I had, it felt quite. Probably just fizzy, actually, really fizzy.
I didn't feel any of that, but I thought it was really nice.
I thought it was really nice.
Really, really nice. Good.
It tasted earthy.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's alright.
Good. So I've put my faith in an English wine again. Now,
Jesus.
I had a horrible experience with an English wine last time, if you remember. This is by Bowler and Brolly, and it's Bacchus grape, which is why I went for it. It's one of my favourite grapes. It's got quite a cool little label.
Bacchus.
Yeah, Bacchus.
Roman god of wine.
Bacchus grape. Got it from Aldi. It cost me like £8. It was more on the expensive side. The description reads, a crisp, dry and gently aromatic wine made with English Bacchus grapes. It has mouthwatering acidity, which it does, to be fair, is awful, and a persistent, wonderfully refreshing citrus finish. This was surprisingly really nice if you add ice. So drop an ice cube in it.
Oh, really?
It takes the acidity and the bitterness out, and it makes it really, really, really nice. It's probably in my top 10. Really good wine. It's
Really?
Yeah. Bowler and Brolly. I'm actually quite proud of an English wine doing good. Yeah, go get it at Aldi. It's nice. Pop an ice cube in it.
Lovely. Cool.
Nice. Excellent. Next week is you, Alfie.
Yes, mate.
Do you know what you can do?
Nope.
Fair play.
I've got an episode for when we're back together, but I haven't got an episode for next week. Maybe we'll do an Ig Nobo one. I haven't done that about 4 months.
Yeah. All right, nice.
Fair enough. Right. Enjoy your week, guys. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this Guzzler podcast.